Hi there, potential CTA students. My name is Graham O'Reilly. I'm a Director of NSOA Learning, responsible for the DVD program, and also your CTA Auditing Lecturer for 2016. What I'd like to do in this short clip is just take you through a high-level overview of the program. I'd like to take you through what the objectives of the program are from our side, from an NSOA perspective, how the format of the program is structured, what the benefits of the program would be to you or someone like you studying CTA. And then lastly, I'd like to introduce you to the lecture team that's going to be responsible for guiding you through your studies next year. In terms of the objectives of the program, one of the key issues behind setting up a program like this is to obviously try and improve the pass rates for CTA distance learning studies. That's a big challenge. The pass rates traditionally of CTA students are pretty low. And if we want to address that challenge, we need to start looking at some of the reasons why the pass rates are low and making sure that any intervention we put in place deals with those reasons for there being low pass rates. Obviously, the second consideration is trying to address those reasons in a cost-effective manner. You are students after all. You're already having to pay a huge amount of money to UNISA. The last thing we want to do is whack on a huge amount of money for any support course that you need to attend. So it's got to be cost effective. And obviously being distance learning students, you're working and studying, it has to also be practical. The interventions we offer have to be in a format that enables you to keep that balance between work and studies. So what are some of these challenges that distance learning students typically face? The first of them is that you're pretty much on your own throughout the year. And it's a long year. We're talking a program that starts in the second week of January and runs right the way through to October, basically, with your exams. There are no breaks in that program at all. There are no midterm holidays or study breaks of any sort. So basically, you're going into potentially a 25, 26-week study program back to back where you're having to put in 30 hours of study on average every week. And it's just you. So we have to, in addressing this challenge, we have to put mechanisms in place that deal with that don't have you out there on your own. We need to be there to help you. A second challenge is going to be probably driven from the first one. You don't have anyone to explain things to you. So what do you do when you get stuck? You can obviously contact UNISA. They do have mechanisms to enable you to direct queries to them, but that sometimes takes a while to resolve. You generally want quick answers if you are stuck with something. So our interventions need to be able to deal with that. Quick mechanisms to help you resolve problems. As I've said, you don't want to be waiting 2 weeks for UNISA to come back. If you've hit a problem in a particular study week, you want it addressed in that study week. We have interventions that will help you achieve that. Obviously, your time available to study is limited, so we have to put together an intervention that's going to be practical and is going to fit into the limited study time that you have available to you. And lastly, one of the challenges is the difficulty in staying motivated. A lot of CTA students start off the year on a strong foot. They get into the groove and their first couple of weeks go well. Then it starts to build up, and maintaining that discipline, that dedication is actually not that straightforward. Particularly if you have a bad week or you have a bad time at work in a particular week, a lot of overtime or deadlines, that kind of thing, to then try and get back on the horse and get up to speed again is often not that easy. So again, the intervention that we offer through this DVD program is there to address all of these challenges. So what does the actual program entail then? I always like to sell this as being more than just a set of DVDs. There are several components to this package. The DVDs are obviously the central component to the package. There are theory DVDs covering all 5 subjects, the 2 FINAC subjects, as well as the MANAC, tax and auditing subjects. In delivering that theory DVD content where necessary and where we think it's appropriate, we do incorporate working through questions to help explain the theory. But the big emphasis on these DVDs is to get you through the principles, to have you understanding the principles, the concepts. We're talking about 30 DVDs here in total into 4 different box sets, one for each of the major disciplines. Each DVD on average is probably 4 to 5 hours in terms of length. So you're sitting with a pretty comprehensive set of DVDs covering the syllabus. In addition to the theory DVDs, there is a study technique DVD that we provide you with. That's a 4 to 5 hour disc, working through motivation, goal setting techniques, mark scoring techniques, a really important part of your studies for this year, and then also test and exam preparation techniques. In addition to the DVDs, we provide a weekly guidance email to each of our students from our lecture team, where the lecturer will communicate with you in advance of each study week, really just to point out some of the key issues of the upcoming week, what to focus on, where are the better questions, what reading you should be doing, are there open book opportunities. Those kind of things will be dealt with in this weekly guidance that you receive. And then lastly, we have our online discussion forum. We call it the NSOA Student Zone. This is the mechanism or the vehicle that you're going to use to help you respond to problems. One of the big differences with our discussion forum is that we don't rely on students to assist students. Every student that goes on and raises a discussion post will be responded to directly by one of the lecturers. And we also pride ourselves on a pretty quick turnaround time. Most queries will be resolved within the same day, but at the most, probably 2 days would be the biggest delay that you would have. So that's the standard package that you would get when you purchase the DVDs. Now, in addition to that, there are a couple of other extras, optional extras, that you can choose to build into your study interventions if you believe they will suit your study methods. The first of those are weekly practice tests. So for the 4 UNISA tests, we go and set you 1 test per subject per UNISA test cycle. So there'd be 5 tests that you would write leading up to each UNISA test, and typically you would write the practice test at the end of the study week. So if you were studying Auditing 103, for example, in this week, the following Monday you would then write a test question on the content from this particular auditing TUT letter. You would write those tests on your own, you would scan, mail them through to us. We then have a team of markers that will go and mark them for you, scan and mail back to you, together with comments from the markers and the lecturers in terms of key problem areas that students faced in that question and how to deal with those. The second optional extra that you have, and this is a new intervention we're offering in 2016 for the first time, is weekly tutorials delivered via webinar. So we're looking here at 1 tutorial per subject per week in each of the UNISA test cycles again. So if you're studying Auditing 103 in this particular week, for example, then during the week, in one of the evenings, there will be a probably 1.5 to 2 hour tutorial where I will then take you through live a question. You will have the ability to log into that webinar. You'll be able to post questions to me live. We can then deal with those as we work through how to answer that question in the best way. Should you miss the webinar for any reason, as a student who has subscribed to that extra intervention, you will have access to the history of all the webinars that have been run during the year. Can also be quite useful from a revision perspective. The third and final extra component is exam revision webinars. So these will be run towards the end of the year. It's one of the feedbacks that we've had over the years that we've been running this program, which, by the way, we started in 2010. This is now going to be our 6th year of running this support program. One of the feedbacks that we did receive is that we don't do anything with students during that final exam preparation process. We've thought about it, and we think this is going to be the most practical way of assisting students in their final push for their exams. So essentially, we're going to run this over a course of 4 to 5 weeks during mid-August through to mid-September, so not leading right up to the exams. And in each of those weeks, you would then have 3 evening webinars, basically dealing with each subject. So you would have 3 sessions on auditing, where I would take you through core topics, direction in terms of revision, where to emphasize, what are the hot topics, how to spend the time, that kind of aspect, but obviously leading up to the final exam preparation process. Some of the benefits to you in enrolling in a program like this. Firstly, our program is geared directly at the UNISA material. This is not a generic program that follows general ITC level syllabus. This is following the UNISA TUT letters. You have flexibility in a DVD-based program like this in the sense that you can watch what you want to watch when you want to watch it. It's not like a face-to-face lecture where you're bound to sit in on that lecture at predetermined times. Also, you don't have to watch the whole DVD. In fact, they're not designed that you watch them from start to finish. They're all index-driven, and you would go along and watch the clip, this section that you're struggling with. You don't get that flexibility in a face-to-face lecture. If the lecture's 4 hours long, you sit there for the 4 hours, even if you only need 1 or 2 of those hours in terms of where you need to focus. So DVDs give you much more flexibility than face-to-face lectures. Obviously, because you have the DVD, you also get to watch it as often as you need to. So if you need to revisit things, find the index point in the DVD, go and have a look at the clip, pause it whenever you want to, go off and do other things, come back, resume. There's a lot more flexibility than the face-to-face contact. Also through the discussion forum, our student zone, you have the ability to ask as many questions as you need to. We have some students historically that are very active on the student zone and clearly are asking questions as they go through the content and hit snags. Other students tend to be less active in terms of raising questions, but active in terms of going and seeing what questions have been raised by other students and seeing the responses from the lecturers. So this is sort of our equivalent of in a face-to-face session, putting up your hand and asking a question. You would do it in our program through the discussion forum. The final benefit would be that the program is cost-effective. If you compare the cost of our DVD-based program to other face-to-face interventions, I think you'll find ours is significantly more cost-effective than the other interventions. We would prefer to run a program that has mass appeal. If we can get a relatively reasonably priced product out there to a large number of students, that would make us happy. We're not relying on small numbers at a big fee. Introducing the various options also gives you some choice. So typically in most study programs, you're tied into a particular set of interventions. Here, you obviously take the DVD package, that's the core content, and then you have the choice in terms of whether you want the weekly practice tests or the weekly tutorials via webinar or the revision session. You can also choose that at any point during the year. You don't have to make a decision right up front whether you want the final revision webinars. Maybe in August you decide you want that, you then enroll for that, and so you go. So a lot more flexibility than your traditional support interventions. If I could then just introduce you to our team of lecturers. All our lecturers have been with NSOA in various different support programs for many, many years. Professor Owen Skay is the newest, if you like, of those, and even there he's going into his 5th year of being in the support program. Carl Erasmus handles our financial accounting DVDs. He's also a lecturer at Varsity College, has a lot of experience lecturing financial accounting at both an undergraduate and a postgraduate level. Di Seckham would be responsible for taxation. Di currently works in one of the medium-sized audit practices in their tax department, and she is their national taxation manager. Brilliant. We get a lot of good feedback on Di, very knowledgeable and a really good way of explaining tax. Professor Owen Skay handles management accounting. He is a senior management accountant. He's actually a director at the Rhodes Business School at the moment, and you might notice his name from one of the prescribed textbooks. He is the volume editor for the management decision-making textbook that you're going to be using this year. From my side, I've already introduced myself to you. I've been lecturing auditing now at CTA level for 16 years. I also run practical auditing training sessions, so auditing is what I'm passionate about, and I think I've got a mechanism and a way in which I can get that across to you in a way that makes sense. So you're in some very capable hands. Any questions you raise on the Student Zone will be answered by these 4 lecturers directly. In terms of any other information that you may require about the program, all our pricing structures are on our website. So if you go onto the nsoa.co.za website and just follow the links through to academic support, you'll find the costing there for the DVD program. There is a brochure there. There is the ability to go along and have a look at some video clips in terms of past lecturer content, just to get an idea of how we run the sessions. And also just to note that you can get pricing for individual subjects. So you don't need to buy the full set of DVDs. You can, for example, just buy the financial accounting DVDs if that's an option for you or a desire for you. On our website, you'll also find testimonials from past students. Always nice to see that other students have used the program and have benefited from it, and obviously any further information that you might want about the DVD program. Should you wish to enroll on the program, you would do this through our website following our online registration process. That will then get sent through to Sally Urbach in our Durban office, who's responsible for managing the DVD program, and she will then be in direct contact with you in terms of banking details and final registration processes that need to be attended to. Thank you for listening in to this clip. Whether you join us or not, I sincerely wish you the best of luck with your studies next year. And of course, obviously, I do hope you choose to join up with our program. And if so, I look forward to seeing you on the Student Zone. Thank you.